News Network.
Let's begin with our top focus story now. This is a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. This is on the rift between Pakistan's political class and terror groups, with the Pakistani army now seemingly supporting the former foreign minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Now, why are we saying that? This is as per top intelligence sources that have suggested to CNN News 18 that Bilawal's recent stance on extraditing designated terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar to India suggests a consensus within Pakistan's political leadership. Sources have also suggested that the political class, including Bilawal's Pakistan People's Party, is striving for international legitimacy, particularly in compliance with the FATF mandates. And sources are also indicative of the fact that Bilawal has highlighted the dismantling of over 900 terror groups and institutions and asset seizures, and also arrests as evidence of Pakistan's changing stance. Now, despite Pakistan's efforts, sources are also revealing that the groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have historically served as tools for plausible deniability in Kashmir operations. So, big development there that is coming in from Pakistan, where there seems to be a great divide when it is about the consensus on whether to support terror infrastructure, terror groups, and what has been the recent stance of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari.
इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़ चैनल को इंटरव्यू देते हुए बिलावल ने जो बातें की, भारतीय सहाफ़ी के सवालात के जो जवाबात दिए, हकीकत में वो जवाब बनते नहीं थे, जिससे हम सब की पूरी पाकिस्तानी कौम की दिल आज़ारी हुई है। लेकिन आज हमारे सियासतदान उनके मुंह में ज़ुबान दुश्मनों की हो।
Good evening, you're watching Nation at 5 here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. Let's begin this broadcast with the headlines. Inebriated and semi-naked son of MNS Neta Javed Shaikh rams his SUV into a woman's car, abuses her on being confronted. VIP brat Rahil Shaikh detained by police on women's complaint. From Araria in Bihar to Churu in Rajasthan, violence mars Muharram processions. Multiple reports of stone pelting and clashes emerge. Uttar Pradesh ATS busts major illegal religious conversion racket operating out of Balram district. Mastermind arrested. In a chilling reminder of the Renuka Swami murder case, minor's ex-girlfriend along with 8 to 10 men abduct and brutally thrash him, stomp on his private parts and film the assault while referring to the barbaric murder case allegedly carried out at the behest of Kannada star Darshan. At the BRICS summit, Prime Minister Modi calls Pahalgam attack a blow to entire humanity, sends stern message on terror, says condemning terror should be principle, not a matter of convenience. BRICS nations back India, condemn the Pahalgam terror attack in the strongest of terms, echo India's position to pursue zero-tolerance approach towards terrorism. Beijing slams Trump's threat of additional 10% tariffs on BRICS and nations aligned to it. Beijing says tariffs are being used as a coercive tool. Grilled by the Mumbai Crime Branch and NIA, 2611 mastermind Tahawoor Rana exposes Pakistan's military role in the barbaric terror attack, admits to being a trusted agent of the Pakistani army. In a major setback for Turkish aviation firm Celebi, Delhi High Court dismisses its plea against Aviation Safety Bureau's decision to revoke security clearance. BCAS action on Celebi came shortly after Turkish support to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. French intel report claims China deployed embassies to promote a disinformation campaign, sowing doubts about Rafale jets during the India-Pak clashes. Let's get you started with some breaking news that's now coming in. There's a massive setback that's come to the fore for Turkish firm Celebi. The Delhi High Court has turned down its plea challenging a decision by India to revoke its security clearance. The court has noted that there were compelling security concerns behind the government's move and that it was justified for Celebi's security clearance to be revoked. These concerns justified the action by the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security is the clear message that has come out, the observation that has come out of the High Court. Citing the risk of espionage and misuse of logistics infrastructure, the court said that such access could pose serious threats, especially in times of external conflict. Remember, India had decided to crack down on Turkish firm Celebi after it was found that Turkish arms were used by Pakistan trying to provoke India along the border during Operation Sindoor. During the drone attacks that we saw from Pakistani side, there were several Turkish drones that were used, after which India had decided to act against Turkish firms, including the firm that maintained ground security clearance, ground clearance at several airports, including at Mumbai and Delhi. Celebi was that firm. They moved the Delhi High Court against that decision, only to get a rap from the court. Ananya now joins us, getting us more details on this. Ananya, what else transpired in court? If you could take our viewers through some of the scathing observations that have come to the fore.
Well, definitely there have been various observations that have been made by Justice Sachin Datta while penning down this 94-page judgment that has turned down Celebi's plea, challenging that BCAS or the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security's mandate, which had turned down the security clearance given to Celebi Aviation. It has gone on to say that there is a compelling national security consideration being involved, and that's exactly why the centre's action is justified. It also go on to say, while justifying BCAS's decision, that there's necessity to eliminate a possibility of the espionage. And I quote, while it would not be inappropriate for this court to make a verbatim reference to the relevant information and input, suffice it to say that there is a necessity to eliminate the possibility of espionage and or dual use of logistical capabilities, which would be highly detrimental to the security of the country, especially in the event of external conflict, basically referring to the outcry of Operation Sindoor and the fallout after the Pahalgam terror attack is involved. It also says that a constitutional truth that is very sacrosanct is the security of the nation is in fact a precondition for the enjoyment of all other rights, is what the Delhi High Court has gone on to say. Whether Celebi Aviation would be approaching the division bench of the Delhi High Court challenging this particular order or not is something that is a matter of time. We'll get to know.
National security was cited by the government when it took this decision to ban Celebi from operating in India anymore, especially at airports. That's something that there's a stamp of approval, so to say, that has come to the fore from the High Court over this. There is legal recourse for Celebi, isn't it? They can approach a higher court, which is the Supreme Court in this case?
Well, the court, higher court, in this case itself, the Delhi High Court's division bench, a two-judges bench, is where the appeal would lie as far as the single-judge bench order of Justice Sachin Datta is concerned. But a very, very important, observation, Poonam, that the court has gone on to say is that the ground handling services at airport offers a deep access to airside operation, aircraft, cargo, passenger information system and security zone. Such unbridled access to vital installations and infrastructure naturally elevates the need for a stricter security vetting for operators and their foreign affiliations. And that is why, the High Court felt that the decision of the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security to revoke that security clearance is something that seems to be justified in order to keep the nation's national security in check, at least at a time when we are facing external conflict itself.
Right, Ananya, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Moving on now to Mumbai, where a shocker has come to the fore, and caught in the midst of this controversy is a VVIP brat linked to the MNS. An FIR has been filed against Rahil Shaikh, who is the son of MNS leader Javed Shaikh, for alleged drunk driving, abuse and misbehavior with a woman. The complaint comes from Rajshri More, a close friend of Rakhi Sawant, who claims Rahil rammed into her car while being intoxicated and then verbally abused her. A video of that incident has now gone viral, which shows the accused half-naked, appearing heavily drunk, raising serious questions of abuse of power, privilege and accountability that comes to the fore. This also comes at a time when the MNS has been leading its charge along with the Uddhav Sena against what they claim is imposition of Hindi and insult to Marathi.
माझी गाडी ठोकलीस ना असा उघडा तू कुठे चालला होतास हे मनसे तुम्ही हे तू कुठला मनसेवाला आहेस कुठला आहे शिवसेनावाला आहे मनसे लोक तुम्ही लोक मराठी शिकवता ना रे लोकांना
माझा बाप ना महाराष्ट्र राज्य उपाध्यक्ष आहे
तुझा बाप महाराष्ट्राचा अध्यक्ष आहे कोण मनसेवाले अच्छा, आणि तू दारू पिऊन माझ्या गाडीवर चढणार, गाडी ठोकणार.
पैसे घे.
अच्छा, तू मला शिव्या देतोयस. हा, दे शिव्या दे. गाडीला ठोकलं ना. तू माझ्या गाडीला का ठोकलं?
काही माफ कर.
माफ? तू आता बोललास माझा बाप कोण आहे, मला बोललास.
अरे काही मी दोन बोललो.
अरे मी थोडासा परप्रांती लोकांना साथ दिला तर काल 200 लोक माझ्या अंगावर आले. आज तू माझी गाडी ठोकतोयस, आपल्या बापाची धमकी देतोयस. तुम्हाला
माफ करा ना.
माफी नकोय. तू दारू पिऊन गाडी का चालवतोय? तू दारू पिऊन गाडी का चालवतोय?
किती झाली? उद्या जा ठाण्याला जा. जावेद शेख कोण आहे विचार, आणि तो माझा बाप आहे.
ओके. तर मग जावेद शेखला तुमच्या बापाने सांगितलं का गाडी माझ्यावर गाडी चढवायला? चल पाठीमागं उभा राहा.
ड्रायव्हिंग करतोस तू, गाडी ठोकली लोकांच्याकडे येऊन.
अरे इसके पैसे
150 गालीमध्ये असेल कोण पण तू.
तिला पोलीस स्टेशनला आहे ना.
अरे काय घेणार भाई, बघून घे मला काय करतात.
हा,
तुम्हाला शिव्या देतोय.
शिव्या दिले?
मग काय करतोय?
काय बोललो?
बोलतोय काय बोलतोय?
काय बोललो? मला पोलीस स्टेशन मध्ये या, माझं काय बघतात बघू.
हा.
Yasha now joins us, getting us more details. Yasha, where is the investigation at? We're given to understand an FIR has been registered against Rahil Shaikh, but he was briefly detained and then let go.
So, in this case, of course, the FIR was registered against him. Was found out that he was driving under the influence of alcohol. Action the party at 185 and also get. However, they found about.
We'll try and reconnect that line with my colleague Yasha. We'll try and fix that audio line with her and get you more details. But this video that you see on the left of your screens has now gone viral on social media after an inebriated, drunk on power youth was seen abusing a female, abusing a policeman after he was caught drunk driving rashly, endangering the life of other people. This is the son of an MNS leader from Mumbai who in that video goes on to flaunt his father's power, talk about who his father really is, tries to then abuse the woman whose car he rammed into. When confronted by the police, he abuses the men in khaki as well. Let's listen into some more reactions that have poured in.
राजश्री मोरे नाम की एक महिला का वीडियो फिलहाल वायरल हुआ है। उस वीडियो में स्पष्ट दिख रहा है कि मनसे के एक नेता का बेटे ने, उस बेटे ने इस महिला को न सिर्फ गाली दी, उसकी गाड़ी तोड़ी, उसकी गाड़ी के साथ टक्कर मारी और उसके साथ लगातार बदतमीजी कर रहा है। यह राहिल या साहिल नाम का जो लड़का है, यह नशे में धुत है। एक ऐसा मुसलमान है जो शराब पी के घूम रहा है। उसका शराब पी के उसने गाड़ी चलाई और जाकर गाड़ी ठोक दी। और जब इस महिला ने विरोध किया तो इस महिला को गाली दी और उसके बाद बार बार अपने बाप के पोजीशन को फ्लॉन्ट कर रहा है। मनसे वाले मराठी भाषा के नाम पर जिस तरीके से उत्पात मचा रहे हैं, ये दरअसल गुंडागर्दी है। अगर मराठी भाषकों के मान सम्मान से लेना देना होता तो राजश्री मोरे को कोई गाली नहीं देता।
Rahil Shaikh is the son of an MNS leader, Javed Shaikh. In that video that you see on your screens, we're given to understand this incident is from Sunday night over the weekend. This video was put out and is now doing the rounds on social media, after which Rahil Shaikh was briefly detained for questioning by the Mumbai police, but he has since been let go despite an FIR being filed against him. Mayuresh now joins us, getting us more details on this. Mayuresh, if you could get us abreast with what exactly the status of the investigation is. There is an FIR, but we're given to understand no arrest has taken place.
Absolutely. Right now, the police have not officially arrested him. He has been detained. The medical test will happen. The reports will come, and on the basis of the FIR, the sections which have been slapped against him, then the Mumbai police will take the further action. Because this particular case looks like a case of a road race, and that's why Mumbai police, though the video footage is available right now, Poonam, but still to a certain Mumbai police have conducted the medical test, and after getting the results, Mumbai police will go ahead with the further action.
This video and this incident is from Sunday night is what we're given to understand, which is late last night. The video is also doing the rounds on social media. Any reaction from the MNS or its leader, Javed Shaikh?
Surprisingly, Poonam, we did try to contact many MNS leaders from Mumbai who are always vocal when this kind of issue comes up, or who were always vocal when the Hindi controversy had come up. But so far, we haven't got any official statement from the MNS party or its leaders, and neither from the Javed Shaikh, whose son has been detained in this case.
So far no reaction coming in from the MNS, but it'll be interesting, Mayuresh, to see if the Uddhav Sena also comes out either in condemning this incident or backing them, because we've seen this newfound bonhomie between the Thackeray brothers.
Absolutely, and it would be interesting to see, but I don't think so that Uddhav Thackeray will support this kind of act, because whenever such kind of act has happened in the past, whether it was any political party, his party has always taken a stand against such kind of act. So it would be interesting to see that how he or his party reacts to it. But so far there is no reaction which has come from his party too.
Right, Mayuresh, do stay on with us. In fact, let's listen into that exchange once again that took place late last night in Mumbai, where the son of an MNS leader, drunk on power, rammed into a woman's car and then defended himself.
माझी गाडी ठोकलीस ना, असा उघडा. तू कुठे चालला होतास? हे मनसे तुम्ही हे तू कुठला मनसेवाला आहेस? कुठला आहे? शिवसेनावाला आहे? मनसे लोक, तुम्ही लोक मराठी शिकवता रे लोकांना?
अरे माझा बाप ना महाराष्ट्र राज्य उपाध्यक्ष आहे.
तुझा बाप महाराष्ट्राचा अध्यक्ष आहे?
हा.
कोण? मनसेवाले?
हा.
अच्छा, आणि तू दारू पिऊन माझ्या गाडीवर चढणार, गाडी
अरे
ठोकणार?
काय पैसे घे.
अच्छा, तुम्हाला शिव्या देतोयस? हा, दे शिव्या दे. गाडीला ठोकलं ना तू, माझ्या गाडीला का ठोकलं?
काही माफ कर.
माफ? तू आता बोललास माझा बाप कोण आहे, मला बोललास?
अरे काय मी तुम्हाला बोललो?
अरे मी थोडासा परप्रांती लोकांना साथ दिला तर काल 200 लोक माझ्या अंगावर आले. आज तू माझी गाडी ठोकतोयस, आपल्या बापाची धमकी देतोयस. तुम्हाला
माफ करा ना.
माफी नको आहे. तू दारू पिऊन गाडी का चालवतोयस? तू दारू पिऊन गाडी का चालवतोय?
किती झाली? कुठे जा, ठाण्याला जा, जावेद शेख कोण आहे विचार, आणि तो माझा बाप आहे.
ओके, तर म्हणजे जावेद शेखला तुमच्या बापाने सांगितलं का गाडी माझ्यावर गाडी चढवायला? चल पाठीमागा उभा राहा.
ड्रायव्हिंग करतोस तू, गाडी ठोकली लोकांची इकडे येऊन.
अरे इसके पैसे
150 खाली मध्ये असेल कोण पण तू?
तिला पोलीस स्टेशनला आहे ना.
अरे काय घेणार भाई, बघून घे मला काय करतात.
हा,
तुम्हाला शिव्या देतोय.
शिव्या दिले?
मग काय करतोय?
काय बोललो?
काय बोललो?
मला पोलीस स्टेशन मध्ये या, माझं काय बघतात बघू.
हा.
Now, the controversy over the Thackeray brothers coming together and claiming that there is an insult to Marathi in Maharashtra. BJP MP Nishikant Dubey has launched a blistering attack on both Raj and Uddhav Thackeray over the recent targeting of Hindi-speaking individuals in Mumbai. Reacting to that controversy, Dubey accused the Thackeray cousins of cheap politics ahead of the upcoming BMC elections. They also questioned their selective outreach.
आप किसकी रोटी खा रहे हो? वहां टाटा है, बिरला है, रिलायंस है, कोई महाराष्ट्र में यूनिट नहीं है. सब टैक्स पेयर जो है, टाटा यदि बिहार झारखंड नहीं होता, उस वक्त बिहार नहीं होता, टाटा ने तो पहली फैक्ट्री वहीं बनाई. हमारे पैसे पर पल रहे हो. तुम कौन सा टैक्स देते हो? कौन सी इंडस्ट्री है तुम्हारे पास? माइंस हमारे पास है, झारखंड के पास है, छत्तीसगढ़ के पास है, मध्य प्रदेश के पास है, उड़ीसा के पास है. आपके पास कौन सी माइंस है? रिफाइनरी यदि रिलायंस ने बैठाई या एसआर ने रिफाइनरी बैठाई तो वो गुजरात में रिफाइनरी बैठाई है. सारी इंडस्ट्री जो है, सेमीकंडक्टर की भी इंडस्ट्री है तो गुजरात में आ रही है. आप जो है लाटसाही कर रहे हो और ऊपर से जो है आप हमारा दोहन करके, शोषण करके टैक्स पेयर करते हो. और यदि आप में ज्यादा हिम्मत है तो आप हिंदी भाषी को मारते हो तो उर्दू भाषी को भी मारो, तमिलियन को भी मारो, आप जो है तेलुगु वाले को भी मारो. आप जो इस तरह की घटिया हरकत कर रहे हो, और मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि जब अपने घर में हो, महाराष्ट्र में हो, यदि बहुत बड़े बॉस हो तो चलो बिहार, चलो उत्तर प्रदेश, चलो तमिलनाडु, तुमको पटक पटक के मारेंगे. ये एनार्की जो है नहीं चलेगी. हम मराठी का सम्मान करते हैं, मराठी एक आदरणीय भाषा है और हम छत्रपति साहू जी महाराज, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज, पेशवा सबका जो है तात्या टोपे से लेके सभी का हम सम्मान करते हैं। उन सबों ने, तिलक हो चाहे लाजपत राय हो, सभी ने जो है आजादी के आंदोलन में, गोपाल कृष्ण गोखले हो, सबसे बड़ा योगदान दिया है। हम तो सभी मराठी स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों का सम्मान करते हैं। महाराष्ट्र के स्वतंत्रता में, हमारी भारत की स्वतंत्रता में बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। लेकिन आज जो वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स, बीएमसी का चुनाव होने वाला है और ये उद्धव ठाकरे और राज ठाकरे जो कर रहा है, इससे घटिया कोई काम नहीं हो सकता है और हम इसका प्रतिकार करते हैं। और यदि उनमें हिम्मत है, जो मैंने आपको कहा है, यदि उनमें हिम्मत है तो बगल में जो है माहिम इलाके में चले जाएं और माहिम की दरगाह के सामने जो है किसी हिंदी भाषी और उर्दू भाषी को पीट कर दिखा दें, तो मैं मानूंगा कि वो सचमुच जो है बाला साहब ठाकरे जी के जो है वारिस हैं और बाला साहब ठाकरे जी के सिद्धांतों पर चल रहे हैं।
While my colleague now joins us, getting us more perspective, a fiery response there coming to the fore from the BJP member of parliament. It's also on the lines of what some of the other BJP leaders in the state of Maharashtra had said, that this is only selective sort of targeting of what you would call outsiders in Maharashtra, and that the Thackeray brothers would not dare to do it in perhaps minority dominated areas in the city.
Well, of course, Nishikant Dubey is in fact showing the mirror to Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray both. And remember, Raj Thackeray's politics for the longest has been anti-North Indians. Way back in the late 2000s also, when Raj Thackeray was famous for calling out the UPIs and the Biharis who are working in, Maharashtra. But they have a big contribution to make as far as the economy of Maharashtra is really concerned. One should not really forget that. And in India, we are a free country. Everybody has a right to go and work wherever they deem fit. And, probably it is expected that you know the language of which is the local language, but there is no binding as such that you have to speak in the local language and speak in a certain dialect to be able to relate to that particular state as well. So therefore, will they do the same against the minorities? That's the question that Nishikant Dubey has been asking. And he says that the Thackeray brothers have come together only because they see a threat coming in from the NDA, in the sense Shiv Sena, Devendra Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar have come together, and they've made the alliance so formidable that the opposition has been reduced to a practical zero. So this is in fact frustrating Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray, who've come together on a platform, and that's exactly what Nishikant Dubey seems to be pointing out over here, saying that, doing gundagardi in the name of, protecting the rights of a particular language is not acceptable in any part of the country. The country can be ruled by a rule of law, not by any gundagardi or any gunda mechanism.
Now, Payal, as far as Nishikant Dubey's comments are concerned, he was talking about the kind of language or the kind of treatment that has been meted out by the Thackeray brothers and their supporters to non-Marathi speaking individuals. I'll come back to you. Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Uddhav Sena is also with us. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Your first reaction to what Nishikant Dubey has said?
The disparaging comments that he has made with regards to people of Maharashtra, the hard-working people of Maharashtra, and for him to cast aspersions on the people of Maharashtra is extremely shameful. And I would want to know what Mr. Devendra Fadnavis thinks about this. That a fellow BJP MP is using comments about Maharashtra, that what kind of a state is it, who are the people who are paying taxes there. We are the highest paying, tax-paying state in the country. And it is the effort and the work of the people of Maharashtra that has made it possible. We are the financial capital of the country, and for him to speak in such a disparaging manner is unacceptable. BJP needs to answer to the people of the country that are they in agreement, especially the ones from Maharashtra, are they in agreement with what was spoken by their Jharkhand member of parliament? And by the way, who has made him the gatekeeper of Hindi-speaking people? Who has appointed him at the pulpit? I come from Maharashtra. My parents belong to Uttar Pradesh. We have made our life in Maharashtra. I represent Maharashtra in the center. And for him to make these disparaging comments is extremely shameful. And for him to say, "Aap log yahan par aiye, hum aapke haath pair tod denge." What language is that?
But Ms. Chaturvedi, we've seen that happen in action. Supporters of the MNS and the UBT Sena have done that to people who could not speak Marathi in Maharashtra. We've seen those instances on social media as well.
Can I just tell you, ma'am, out of the 12 crore people who stay in Maharashtra, at least 20% 20% of those people come from other states. We are a welcoming state. Like I said, my own parents come from northern India.
Yes.
The problem is not with Hindi-speaking people. The problem is not with the language of Hindi. The problem is imposing something on the students of Maharashtra at a very young age. The problem is the politics of language that Bharatiya Janata Party has unleashed across the country. The problem is that Bharatiya Janata Party has the capability of dividing people not just on the basis of religion, but also on the basis of identities, on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, because what Britishers left back in 1947 was adopted by the Bharatiya Janata Party in 1980s when the party was formed, and divide and rule has become their tool to divide states, to divide people and win their political battles. This is the only truth.
But Ms. Chaturvedi, if we have to condemn what Nishikant Dubey said, shouldn't the actions of some of the supporters of the MNS should also be condemned?
So my question
a restaurant owner was slapped because he couldn't speak in Marathi.
Firstly, let me also tell you that as far as law and order is concerned, who is in power in Maharashtra? If they have done something which is unlawful, who should be taking action against them? If I may ask, ma'am, I'm okay with
sure,
them
the
being
state
arrested.
should take action. I agree with you.
I condemn what they did. Now, I want to know who upholds the law and order in Maharashtra. Is it the members of the opposition or is it the members who are in power? Who is the Home Minister of Maharashtra? It is Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. Why have they been arrested and been put out on, the cases that are filed against them on some simple sections which are available? I think the questions need to be asked to the government of the day in the state.
Right, and we do hope to put those questions to the BJP. But
Please, I'm hoping you all would, because of the entire debate that I've...
Of course, the law and order is with the state government, and those questions will be asked to the state. Yes, go ahead.
Wait, ma'am, I haven't completed what I was saying.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Since you're asking me questions and I'm answerable to the people of the state and the people of the country, and as someone who's also a representative in the parliament, my question would be that those who are in positions of power, who exploit these divides, who exploit these issues, rarely take action on these issues, are the ones who should be answering that. I'm willing to answer every question you put to me. I'm hoping that the media will ask these tough questions of the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who also happens to be the Home Minister of Maharashtra.
We will, because the law and order is something that the state government needs to look at, but these kind of actions cannot be condoned irrespective of which political side of the spectrum they come from. But Priyanka Chaturvedi, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Reactions, meanwhile, are trickling in thick and fast to what Nishikant Dubey has said and the kind of language that he has used. The UBT Sena, of course, taking a strong objection to those comments. Aditi Thackeray reacting as well.
महाराष्ट्र में बहुत सारे उत्तर भारतीय, दक्षिण भारतीय, सारे पूरे देश से लोग आते हैं, सपना लेके आते हैं। बाकी वो शक्ति के खिलाफ थी, किसी भाषा के खिलाफ नहीं थी। हमारी जो लड़ाई थी वो भाजपा की शक्ति, जो हिंदी की शक्ति थी, उसके खिलाफ थी, किसी भाषा के खिलाफ नहीं। और यही बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि निशिकांत दुबे ये उत्तर भारत का प्रतीक नहीं है। बहुत सारे लोग हैं, जैसे हमारे यहाँ आनंद दुबे है, वो तो शिवसैनिक है, वो तो काम करते हैं। तो यही बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि ऐसे जो लोग हैं जो आग लगाना चाहते हैं, उनकी तरफ आप भी उनको अगर स्पेस ना दे तो इनकी कोई पॉलिटिक्स चलेगी।
Payal continues to be with us on this broadcast. Payal, as expected, the kind of language that Nishikant Dubey has used, that's something that has been taken objection to. It'll be interesting to see how the BJP responds to that.
Well, of course, he's spoken in a language which might not be acceptable to many, but the fact of the matter remains that he's trying to make a larger point, saying that are you going to slap somebody just because the person has not been able to speak in perfect Marathi, the way Marathi would have really been wanted to? The question is that, of course, you go to a particular state and you're expected to learn the language and speak the language, but nobody can take law in their own hands. And the larger point that he's trying to make that, Aditya Thackeray over here, Poonam is saying that it is not about them. We are fighting against the state and its policies of imposition. Then who gives Raj Thackre's party the license to slap somebody? How is that even allowed in a state like that? Of course, questions are being raised of the state government also for them failing to take action against this in this particular case as well. But at the same time, yes, several quarters feel that Nishikant Dubey shouldn't have spoken the language that he would have. But he represents state Jharkhand, where many migrant workers come to other parts of the country to work. He originally belongs to Bihar. A lot of people from Bihar come down to Maharashtra and other states and work, and therefore he's reflecting only what their sentiment really is.
And this is something that one of the leaders of the BJP in Maharashtra, Nitesh Rane, had also said last week when this entire controversy had broken out, when we had seen several of these videos that had come out where non-Marathi speakers were targeted specifically. But the questions that are also being asked, Payal, of the state government is that why is then strict action not being taken in those cases?
Well, of course, cases have been filed is what we're given to understand. We'll have to just really see as to what really the argument coming in from the state government as far as this matter is really concerned. Well, there definitely will be multiple questions that are asked of them in terms of what is being done and how is it being done. Because, Nitish Rana also spoke that language, that there is a way to divide the Hindu society, and if that is the case, then, they will not really hold back. And mind you, the one who's actually speaking about this is Nitish Rana, who comes from a Maratha family himself as well. So obviously multiple questions are being raised. But this has been Raj Thakra's style of politics for a very long time. I remember anywhere between the year 2004 to 2009, Raj Thakre was seen as one of those flag bearers who had actually taken over from his late uncle and essentially had called out the non-Marathi people living and working in Maharashtra. But basically what people have been saying is that these non-Marathi people who've been staying and making a living out of Maharashtra have an equal contribution to the growth story of Maharashtra.
Right, Payal, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. We'll keep a track of that controversy in Maharashtra and much more here on Nation at 5. Before now, a quick break.
This is the drive. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Let's begin with our top focus story now. This is a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. This is on the rift between Pakistan's political class and terror groups, with the Pakistani army now seemingly supporting the former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Now, why are we saying that? This is as per top intelligence sources that have suggested to CNN News 18 that Bilawal's recent stance on extraditing designated terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar to India suggests a consensus within Pakistan's political leadership. Sources have also suggested that the political class, including Bilawal's Pakistan People's Party, is striving for international legitimacy, particularly in compliance with the FATF mandates. And sources are also indicative of the fact that Bilawal has highlighted the dismantling of over 900 terror groups and institutions and asset seizures, and also arrests as evidence of Pakistan's changing stance. Now, despite Pakistan's efforts, sources are also revealing that the groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have historically served as tools for plausible deniability in Kashmir operations. So big development there that is coming in from Pakistan, where there seems to be a great divide when it is about the consensus on whether to support terror infrastructure, terror groups, and what has been the recent stance of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari.
इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़ चैनल को इंटरव्यू देते हुए बिलावल ने जो बातें की, भारतीय सहाफ़ी के सवालात के जो जवाबात दिए, हकीकत में वो जवाब बनते नहीं थे, जिससे हम सब की पूरी पाकिस्तानी कौम की दिल आज़ारी हुई है। लेकिन आज हमारे सियासतदान उनके मुंह में ज़ुबान दुश्मनों की हो और वो किसी भी पाकिस्तानी को दुश्मन के यानी हिंदुस्तान के हवाले करने की ऑफर्स करते फिरें, चे जाए कि पाकिस्तान की एक मोतबर शख्सियत मेरे वालिद मोहतरम हाफिज़ मोहम्मद सईद हफिज़हुल्लाह के बारे में ये अंदाज और ये बातें इख्तियार की जाएं।
Let me take this across to our colleague Anand Narsiman, who is joining us live from the CNN News 18 newsroom. Anand, we were just playing out that reaction of Hafiz Saeed's son. He is, of course, dissing this entire stance by Bilawal Bhutto, but Zardari's stance has found a lot of support in Pakistan. How does one dissect this dynamics, particularly with the power play when it is to do with the Pakistan army?
Good afternoon, Grihan. Good afternoon to our viewers. How firmly are the army, the political establishment and the...
Thank you for staying with us here on Nation at 5. We have news now coming in. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has reacted to Deputy Chief of Army Staff Rahul Singh's remarks. He says that Pakistan are traditional and friendly neighbours. Defence and security cooperation is part of normal cooperation between the two countries. Remember, this comes at a time when the Deputy Chief of Army Staff in India had claimed that China was giving real-time data, real-time intel, and vectors were given out to Pakistan during DGMO-level talks between India and Pakistan in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, to which China has now reacted, claiming that China and Pakistan's partnership is that of a friendly neighbour and nothing beyond that. Siddhant now joins us, getting us more details. Siddhant, interesting comment there coming to the fore, claiming that it wasn't directed at any third party, even though China knows very well that India is directly involved.
Well, look, going by the statements that we have been, getting from the Chinese Foreign Ministry, perhaps right now the priority for them is Tibet issue. Right now the priority for them is the reincarnation, which has been announced by Dalai Lama. Having said that, when this question was asked to the Foreign Ministry spokesperson about the India, perhaps a statement which was made by the Indian Army General about that how China helped and backed Pakistan against India, to which Chinese spokesperson has to say that I'm not familiar with the specific situation you mentioned. What I want to tell you is that China and Pakistan are traditional friendly neighbors, and defense and security cooperation is a part of normal cooperation between the two countries. India and Pakistan are neighbors that cannot be moved away, and they are also important neighbors for China. For some time, China has been closely following the development of the situation between India and Pakistan, actively promoting peace. We welcome and support India and Pakistan in properly handling differences. So, China has to say that they all they wanted is India and Pakistan to have a dialogue and resolve the issue. This is what their official spokesperson has to say. And
Right.
China-India relations are at a critical stage of improvement and development. We are willing to work with India to push China-India relations. So as I said before, Poonam, that the priority for them is Tibet issue at this point in time, the reincarnation issue. They were expecting India to support China, perhaps as far as the reincarnation of Dalai Lama is concerned, perhaps which India made its own position very, very clear that India never gets involved in the religious faith and beliefs. And there were Indian ministers and others, attended the 90th birthday celebration of Dalai Lama, which China surely did not like. But having said that, China also wants to improve ties with India, at least on the face. But yes, there has been a positive response coming from the Chinese Foreign Ministry. And in fact, they say that even if they are doing trilateral or they are speaking with Pakistan, it should not be seen as directed towards the third party. So when they say third party, then they are referring to India. But we all know, Poonam, what happened during Operation Sindoor, the way China has backed. There have been multiple reports filed by Manoj Gupta and other colleagues of at CNN News18 that, how China, in fact, there are reports that there were presence of Chinese, army personnel in Pak control room, and China, wanted to see the usage of their equipment, their military equipment against India. So
And that was a revelation that came to the fore from the Deputy Chief of Army Staff here in India as well, at the highest levels. Somebody who was in charge of the operation, somebody who was in the know of what transpired leading up to the ceasefire. Siddhant, do stay on with us. Anand Narasimhan also joins us for more perspective. Anand, this seems to be just a feeble attempt by China to try and disassociate themselves with Pakistan, to try and try and take away the responsibility of actually helping Pakistan, but it goes on to prove exactly what India has been saying.
Well, we have to live with the reality. Poonam, good evening, and good evening to our viewers. What the Deputy Chief of Staff had said very clearly, that is borrowing a knife to kill. That's what China was doing by using Pakistan, and that was borrowed from the 36 stratagems. China very clearly at this point in time trying to be very, very guarded. It's an open secret here that more than 81% of Pakistani arsenal is now Chinese. There are Chinese boots on the ground in Pak-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and also territory that has been ceded unfairly and wrongfully by Pakistan, sovereign Bharatiya territory, as per the Parliament resolution, which has been ceded for CPEC corridors to the Chinese, where the PLA have boots on ground. Their presence has been noted even in areas like Skardu, which is again Pak-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but the Chinese are present and they are very actively involved, and they were monitoring. So they have openly said that we will help Pakistan because we have friendly equations with them. We are helping them, but not that it was directed against Bharat. So that clearly is a diplomatic wishy-washy statement, because China very clearly knows that all of Pakistan's machinations have always been against Bharat, and if China is helping Pakistan, then by default in a situation like Operation Sindoor, it is against Bharat. But importantly, in the last line, what they turn around and say, and that's what is important, where they've said that China-India relations are at a critical stage of improvement and development. We are willing to work with India to push China-India relations forward along a healthy and stable track. Now, this is perhaps a feeling or a sentiment that is echoed even at BRICS. And thereafter too, that despite the differences, despite the issues of the border and despite the engagements with Pakistan that China is having, Bharat and China will try and work together an equation, because that is the reality, a geopolitical reality, that we cannot choose our neighbors and we have to try and work out an equation where both can prosper without either of them suffering. Now, will China walk that path? Honestly, that is something which we know from the past, that the Chinese cannot be trusted, and they will always try and push their comprehensive national power, and they will put their own stated goals ahead of anything else. Even regional stability will be, they are willing to compromise that if it furthers their own stated goals as laid out by Mao Zedong's blueprint for the PLA and the CCP. But Bharat at this point can be very clear, and I think that is something that we will call a spade a spade. We will walk the path that is in the interest of Bharat, and that is something which the Chinese are now slowly starting to recognize, that Bharat is starting to assert itself not just bilaterally but also on multilateral fora, and that is something that the Chinese are mindful of. What is happening with Rafale, what the backlash their own military industrial complex suffered after what happened on the 8th and 9th of May is there for the world to see. Their stocks dropped between 8 to 12%, and that's because the Chinese equipment which was placed under Pakistani hands and with the Pakistanis was found wanting, and Bharat was able to penetrate that. So that is also a message to the Pakistanis post to the Chinese, beg your pardon, post Galwan, that Bharat is also growing in might. Bharat is no longer a nation that's going to be dependent on its neighbor. It is self-reliant and far evolved compared to what the Chinese thought it would be perhaps a decade ago.
Right, Anand, thank you so much for putting that in perspective for us. In fact, let's listen into what the Deputy Chief of Army Staff had to say about how China was helping Pakistan during Operation Sindoor and in the aftermath, not just with the arms and weapons that we know constitute at least 80% of Pakistan's arsenal, but how real-time data, how intelligence was also being shared by Beijing. Listen in.
Pakistan was the front face. We had China providing all possible support. And it's no surprise, because if you were to look at statistics, in the last 5 years, 81% of the military hardware that Pakistan is getting is all Chinese, 81% of that. And another thing that China perhaps has seen is that he is able to test his weapons against, say, various other weapon systems that are there. It's like a live lab which is available to him. So it's a good, that is what is something we have to be very cognizant about. When the DGMO level talks were going on, Pakistan actually was mentioning that we know that your such and such important sort of vector is primed and it is ready for action. I would request you to perhaps, pull it back. So he was getting live inputs as far as from China. So that is one place we really need to move fast.
Shifting focus now to more breaking news that's coming in. There is a sharp Twitter war that has erupted between the Union Minorities Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju and AIMIM Chief and Member of Parliament Assaduddin Owaisi. This is after Kiren Rijiju claimed that India is the only country where minorities get more benefits than the majority community. That has now triggered a long response from Assaduddin Owaisi on social media, and I'm going to take you through exactly what transpired. This is the post that Kiren Rijiju had posted about 6 to 7 hours ago, in which he says, India is the only country where minorities get more benefits and protections than the majority community. He was talking about a certain article, the link to which has also been posted by Kiren Rijiju in that particular post of his, to which Assaduddin Owaisi has now responded to say and tag Kiren Rijiju specifically and talk about how he is a Minister of the Indian Republic and that he holds a constitutional post. Minority rights are fundamental rights, not charity, is what Assaduddin Owaisi has now gone on to say. He then speaks about whether it is an honor to be the target of hate speeches of BJP leaders, if it was a benefit for to be called Pakistani or Bangladeshi or jihadi. He goes on to talk about how that's the kind of treatment that's meted out to minorities in India. That's the allegation that Assaduddin Owaisi is now making in response to Kiran Rijiju of the union government, the union minister, going on to say that India is perhaps where the majority government, the minority community gets more benefits or more protection than the majority community. Payal, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective on this. Payal, this is something that the Modi government, that ministers in the Modi government have been speaking of the kind of rights, the kind of protections that the minority community gets in a country like India in comparison, especially in the subcontinent. That's something that Assaduddin Owaisi has now gone on to refute.
Mr. Owaisi speaks very, very strongly for the Muslim community that he belongs to. Remember, he's one of those big leaders from the Muslim community. He's saying that you should not reduce the Muslim community to actually merely, beneficiary of these schemes. These are guaranteed to them by the Indian Constitution as much as any other community in this country gets the benefit. And there is no reason for India to compare itself with other failed countries like Pakistan, Nepal and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, where of course there's mayhem right now. But India is a republic, is a democratic nation, and the Muslims take as much pride on the country as anybody else does, because the Muslims, many Muslims stayed back in India, Poonam, even after the partition issue. They chose not to migrate to Pakistan. They chose to stay in India. According to Mr. Owaisi, they've overcome a lot of persecution that has happened against them as well. But yet they've stood with the country, and even on issues like this, remember, Mr. Owaisi on a matter concerning Pakistan's attack on innocent civilians has stood very strongly with the Indian government, also clearly saying that he's an Indian first and a Muslim later. So obviously all of these things coming to the fore. Mr. Owaisi over here, making a very, very strong remark in response to what the Minority Affairs Minister, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, was really mentioning in his tweet.
Now, there are several allegations that Assaduddin Owaisi has made in that longish post of his on social media. Payal, are we expecting the Union Minister, Kiran Rijiju, to perhaps respond to this? Because there are several claims that can be refuted by the government with the kind of allegations that have been made about hate speeches involving BJP leaders especially?
Yes, it is of course an allegation being made by Mr. Owaisi for a very long time now, saying that the BJP leaders call out the Muslim community. They try to humiliate the Muslim community every now and then. But they have to understand the Muslim community is an equal stakeholder in this country as much as any other citizen really is. That's been his line of thought. Of course, on their front, the Modi government has always been saying that there's been no discrimination of any sort with anybody from the minorities, and they're given equal rights. So, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas is something that the Modi government really champions. Of course, the war of words that you see being exchanged on social media right now. It's very important to see if Mr. Kiran Rijiju, who's normally very, very calm and composed and doesn't get into a war of words if people decide to respond to Mr. Owaisi on this occasion.
Right, Payal, do keep a track of that. But for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. On that note, slipping into a quick break on this edition. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Brought to you by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Let's begin with our top focus story now. This is a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. This is on the rift between Pakistan's political class and terror groups, with the Pakistani army now seemingly supporting the former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Now, why are we saying that? This is as per top intelligence sources that have suggested to CNN News 18 that Bilawal's recent stance on extraditing designated terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar to India suggests a consensus within Pakistan's political leadership. Sources have also suggested that the political class, including Bilawal's Pakistan People's Party, is striving for international legitimacy, particularly in compliance with the FATF mandates. And sources are also indicative of the fact that Bilawal has highlighted the dismantling of over 900 terror groups and institutions and asset seizures and also rests as evidence of Pakistan's changing stance. Now, despite Pakistan's efforts, sources are also revealing that the groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have historically served as tools for plausible deniability in Kashmir operations. So big development there that is coming in from Pakistan, where there seems to be a great divide when it is about the consensus on whether to support terror infrastructure, terror groups, and what has been the recent stance of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari.
इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़ चैनल को इंटरव्यू देते हुए बिलावल ने जो बातें की, भारतीय सहाफ़ी के सवालात के जो जवाबात दिए, हकीकत में वो जवाब बनते नहीं थे, जिससे हम सब की, पूरी पाकिस्तानी कौम की दिल आज़ारी हुई है। लेकिन आज हमारे सियासतदान, उनके मुंह में ज़ुबान दुश्मनों की हो और वो किसी भी पाकिस्तानी को दुश्मन के यानी हिंदुस्तान के हवाले करने की ऑफर्स करते फिरें। चे जाए कि पाकिस्तान की एक मोतबर शख्सियत मेरे वालिद मोहतरम हाफिज़ मोहम्मद सईद हफिज़हुल्लाह के बारे में ये अंदाज और ये बातें इख्तियार की जाएं।
Let me take this across to our colleague Anand Narsiman, who is joining us live from the CNN News 18 newsroom. Anand, we were just playing out that reaction of Hafiz Saeed's son. He is, of course, dissing this entire stance by Bilawal Bhutto.
Welcome back. As the deadline for the 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs nears, United States President Donald Trump has said that he has signed letters to 12 countries detailing the different tariff rates that will be imposed on exports to the United States. Describing them as take-it-or-leave-it offers, Donald Trump said that these letters would be sent out today. Sources have revealed that India and the United States are likely to take a final decision on a mini trade deal in the next 24 to 48 hours. Currently, talks have been completed only on a mini trade deal. Negotiations on a larger bilateral trade deal will only begin after July 9th. The average tariff under the mini trade deal is likely to be at 10%. President Donald Trump has said that he would put an additional 10% tariff on any country that aligns themselves with what he called was the anti-American policies of BRICS. This after BRICS nations voiced concerns over the rise of unilateral tariff and non-tariff measures that the BRICS nations said were inconsistent with WTO rules.
Sending letters out on Monday having to do with the trade deals. Could be 12, maybe 15. You know, Secretary of Commerce right here. And I guess, Howard, I would say it could be maybe as many as 15 or so. And they'll be going out on Monday, and some will go out on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it'll. And we've made deals also, so we're going to have a combination of letters, and some deals have been made.
मैंने आपको कई बार बताया कि भारत अपने शर्तों पर चर्चा करता है, अलग अलग देशों के साथ चर्चा चल रही है। फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट तभी संभव होता है जब दो तरफा फायदा हो। इट शुड बी अ विन विन एग्रीमेंट। और जब भारत के इंटरेस्ट को संरक्षित रखते हुए नेशनल इंटरेस्ट विल ऑलवेज बी सुप्रीम, वो ध्यान में रखते हुए अच्छा अगर डील बनती है तो भारत तो विकसित देशों के साथ डील करने के लिए कभी भी तैयार है। नेशनल इंटरेस्ट, भारत के हितों को संरक्षण करना, ये मोदी सरकार का पहला ध्येय रहता है, ये हमारी प्राथमिकता रहती है और आप सबको कोई चिंता करने की बात नहीं है। जो भी फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट किसी भी देश के साथ होगा उसमें कश्मीर की, जम्मू कश्मीर की और पूरे भारत के हर एक प्रांत की हर एक हिस्से की पूरा संरक्षण करते हुए फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट किए जाएंगे। एक प्रकार से अब भारत पूरी दुनिया को व्यापार और उद्योग के जगत में एक ट्रस्टेड पार्टनर, विश्वसनीय साझेदार के रूप में आज लोग भारत की तरफ देखते हैं। लोगों को विश्वास है कि भारत और भारतवासी ईमानदार व्यापार करते हैं, इसलिए पूरी दुनिया आज भारत के साथ व्यापार बढ़ाना चाहती। दुनिया के सब विकसित देश आज भारत के साथ करार करके अपना दो तरफा व्यापार बढ़ाने के लिए उत्सुक है
Now, negotiations are on between India and the United States. There have been at least 4 rounds of talks that have taken place in the last 4 months to try and iron out differences over what each of them wants and what they will get at the end of it, at the end of this deal being signed. What we're learning is that a mini trade deal could be signed in the next 2 to 3 days. But does that mean India will escape these reciprocal tariffs that Donald Trump has been threatening several countries around the world with? So what exactly are the sticking points? One of them is entry to United States' genetically modified crops and products into the Indian markets. That's something that India has drawn the red line on. Why exactly is that? My colleague Anand Narasimhan breaks it down for you.
Well, there is a lot of pressure on the Indo-US trade deal, especially from the Americans, about incorporating GM crops and allowing them market space in India, and also asking farmers to grow these GM crops. But there are a few reservations that Bharat has with respect to trying and accommodating this pressure from the Americans, and that's where somewhere perhaps this entire trade deal is struck. What are the reasons why? First up, there is a fear of genetic contamination of indigenous varieties. So that's the first part. The next, there's a reason why this is being blocked. The next part is the fact that forced navigation around seed patents, and there will be corporate control, and this automatically will reduce the leverage that Indian farmers would have, and that is something that India does not want to give the control of agricultural produce directly or indirectly anyway to the corporates. It could also invite dominance by global agri-trading giants who could then try and start dictating the course that the agricultural produce and the market in Bharat takes, and that could have a severe impact on the small and medium farmers. There's a risk of losing export competitiveness in the US market too, or in the European market too, because we are trying to negotiate trade deals and trying to make agricultural exports possible into the European nations. Also, there is another aspect of the GMO-free supplier. This GMO-free supplier tag, that reputation can be damaged, and especially in very, very sensitive segments. So then what's the possibility? How is it that we are going to be able to negotiate this trade deal going forward? Let's try and understand those dynamics. When it comes to GM crops in Bharat, BT cotton is one of the GM crops in Bharat, and it was approved in 2002. And the developer was Monsanto with Myco, but there was, what was a trait? The trait is that it had an inbuilt resistance to the bollworm, one of the parasites, or because of which you have huge loss of good cotton crops. But the adoption was 90% of the cotton that is currently grown in India is BT cotton. There is a resistance, and the resistance buildup was clearly noted. But the controversy is that it was also linked to farmer suicides. So that's the reason why now there is this whole resistance to genetically modified crops and what it can do not just to topsoil but also to the basic farmers' lives and in terms of crop rotation. So here's where the standoff is. Bharat is drawing the red line with respect to agricultural crops and produce, especially genetically modified crops. The GM soybean, it's not approved for cultivation. The US is trying to push that and pressure Bharat into accommodating that, which is something which Bharat is resisting. Even in the field of maize or corn, now the import is as food is not approved. So GM corn, that is another part which we will have to then source the corn or the genetically modified seeds from there and then grow it. But there is a resistance there. Even genetically modified canola, it's allowed only for oil processing as of now within Bharat. So there are some commitments which Bharat has made to its voter. The government itself very, very conscious what will be the resistance or what will be the reaction of farmers, small and medium income farmers, and protecting their interests, the government has repeatedly said, is priority. So as far as agricultural produce is concerned and genetically modified crops are concerned, these are three or four issues where there is a hurdle, and that's where the trade deal will not be a comprehensive one, but perhaps a limited one between Bharat and the United States.
Keeping up with the United States in a political storm domestically that is brewing for the United States, there is a war that's erupted between US President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. Musk announced a new political faction called the America Party, after which Donald Trump lashed out. He called the move ridiculous. He even labeled that move a train wreck for political rebellion. The rift follows Elon Musk's sharp criticism of Trump's newly passed tax and spending bill. Remember, he had called it a disgusting abomination likely to bankrupt the country, following which we had seen a social media war of words erupt between the two, which spilled onto offline as well. We saw the kind of comments that were made both by Elon Musk and Donald Trump, to which Elon Musk said that only a new front, a new political front, could change the future of America and the American economy, which is why he floated this particular party over the weekend. But does this have any future? Can Elon Musk actually change what he is trying to, or will this be a damp squib like Donald Trump is predicting? Find out in this report.
US President Donald Trump had a biting response Sunday to billionaire Elon Musk's move to start a new US political party.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
It's the latest in the widening rift between the world's most powerful man and its richest that began last month, when Musk started attacking the item at the top of Trump's legislative agenda, a sweeping tax cut and spending bill. That bill was signed into law on Independence Day.
Take over, Elon, just take over.
Musk spent millions of dollars underwriting Trump's 2024 re-election effort and had spearheaded the downsizing agency DOGE, but stepped back in May. Around that time, he said Trump's bill would bankrupt the country and called it a disgusting abomination. Critics say the bill will significantly add to the US debt load and damage the US economy. As their feud escalated, the president threatened to pull billions of dollars that Tesla and SpaceX receive in government contracts and subsidies. There were signs in mid-June Musk was trying to repair his relationship with Trump. Musk posted on X that he had gone too far. But last week, Musk began criticizing Trump's bill again and vowed that in next year's midterms, he would unseat lawmakers who supported it. Then on Saturday, he said he would establish the America Party. A day later, Trump posted that he was saddened to watch Musk go completely off the rails and be a train wreck the past 5 weeks. Meanwhile, investment firm Azoria Partners said on Saturday it will postpone the listing of Tesla ETF, which was set to launch this week. It raised concerns Musk creating a political party posed a conflict with his full-time responsibilities as Tesla CEO. Azoria CEO James Fishback also reiterated his own support for Trump on social media and encouraged the Tesla board to meet immediately to ask Elon to, quote, clarify his political ambitions.
Shifting focus now to an opportunity for Indians. UAE has launched a nomination-based golden visa specifically aimed for Indians and for Bangladeshi citizens, at least in the pilot phase. The best part is that it removes the need for hefty investments in real estate or business. The updated visa program includes a wider range of professionals and specialists. According to the Indian Embassy in Abu Dhabi, 4.3 million Indians reside in the UAE, accounting for 38% of the population. That could increase now with this golden visa expansion. What it seems like is that this is a smart strategic step by the UAE to tap into India's massive talent pool, particularly in technology, innovation and the creative economy. It strengthens people-to-people ties, it makes relocation easier and makes it more meaningful specifically for Indian professionals. This program aligns with emerging global trends as well. It gives preference to skills over wealth and it focuses on sectors where India already leads, like artificial intelligence, content creation and green innovation. We'll get you more details of that here on CNN News 18, but for now, it's a wrap from my side.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Ahead of elections, battleground Bihar is witnessing Kagaz Nahi Dikhayenge Part 2. This over a routine, albeit not so simple exercise of electoral rolls revision. The exercise is mandated every few years and has been pending for over 20 years. Ordinarily, political parties should be the one asking for such exercises given that they raise objections over voter lists all the time, either during or after elections. Recent fight over Maharashtra verdict is case in point, where the Congress party has gone to the extreme lengths to accuse the Election Commission of India of errors of omission and commission to favour the BJP. So why are they objecting to Election Commission actually combing through the rolls for Bihar? That's because they fear their voters will not be able to verify that they are Indian citizens. Isn't that a damning confession to make? The EC has actually not left this to imagination that the list needs to be revised due to rampant illegal immigration from countries like Nepal, Bangladesh and Myanmar. The question only is, why should anyone object to this? This is a repeat of the fraudulent anti-NRC campaign combined with anti-CAA at that time, which exposed how even mainstream political interests don't want to fight illegal immigration. We are not alone though as far as this politics is concerned. This is also playing out in the US, for example, where US citizens and political parties are actively blocking ICE agents from repatriating illegals and aliens. Why is it that liberal and even secular politics globally is seen at odds with laws of your own country? Well, that's the larger global debate, but here in India, why is it that political parties are actively blocking any attempts to rationalize and streamline electoral processes, keeping them in the 20th century? We'll take that up and more with our guest joining us in just a bit. First up, why is this process being undertaken and what is this process exactly? Let me break that down for you. Step one is that a pre-filled enumeration form is going to be distributed to voters. In fact, this has already been done. Step 2 is that the forms have to be filled with photos, epic number and other personal details by the electorate. Booth level officers will then collect forms. They will go door to door to every voter and they will collect the forms and documents subsequently. Existing voters and applicants can even upload documents on the ECI Net app